right, everybody, you guys ready? Yeah. All right, you guys know what to do. Ba-na-na-na-na-na-na, ba-na-na-na-na-na-na. Better. Ba-na-na-na-na-na-na, ba-na-na-na-na-na. That's the exact right level of hype for the cast of Gotham. Everybody, welcome to the stage, your moderator, Brandon from Movers and Shakers Unlimited. Give him a warm round of applause.
How you guys doing? All right, day 2 of RHODE Island Comic Con. You guys ready to take a trip back down to Gotham? Yeah! All right, so let me introduce our panelists. First, can I get Sean Pertwee? Get a hand for Sean. Can I get Donal Logue? And of course, last but not least, Bruce Wayne, Batman himself, David Mazouz. All right, gentlemen, have a seat, have a seat. So, just tell me, how has RHODE Island Comic Con been for you guys so far? Fantastic. Going down the table.
Well, everyone's been absolutely lovely, but I haven't seen much of Providence. That's where we are. Yeah. But it's lovely. I love it. We came a couple of years ago, actually, with Drew and with Robin, I think. But it's lovely. I love this convention.
Cool.
Yeah. It's been fantastic. I was actually here Thursday night when I drove in from Boston. I haven't been to Providence since a Jethro Tull concert in 1984. Where I was incredibly drunk and passed out under a bush near Brown University. So this is my first time back in 35 years or whatever. So yeah, thank you. It's good to be here.
Oh, you guys not hearing me?
Oh, whoa.
No, it's fine. I don't think I need a mic. I love it here. Thank you for having us back.
Best Alfred ever. Oh.
So, gentlemen, take me back. We're going to, as we said, go down memory lane. Take me back to the time that you guys were aware that you were going to be a part, of this series, with these characters that are so, iconic, and other people that have had, opportunity and jabs at these characters for each of you.
Well, it was a really fascinating process, the whole thing, actually, about getting the job. I don't know if you guys have heard this story before, but we were sent, I certainly was. Donal was offered the job outright because he's a genius.
Fair.
They put David and I and the rest of us through the ringer slightly because I don't know about David, but they sent us these generic pieces. And mine was, I was doing elementary at the time, and mine was about a guy that goes into a pub and smashes someone in the larynx, in the throat. I thought, this is interesting, but it obviously was written by someone that knew knew someone from the East End of London, which is a tough part of my city. The vernacular was absolutely bang on the money, which is very rare to find. So they flew me down to Los Angeles, and I didn't know what it was for. And I saw Danny Cannon, who I'd done a couple of movies with before, and I of course knew of Bruno Heller's work, and I saw them walking past, and they said, oh, this is for, I said, this is for Gotham. And I said, but who's this character who gets involved in a big fight? And he said, well, that's Alfred. So that was the beginning part of it. So we didn't, I've always said this, but had we known that I was actually auditioning for Alfred, I never would have got the job, I guarantee it, because I would have done an ode to Michael Caine or something. But this is applicable to, I think, most of the cast that were cast in this way, that they cherry-picked elements of us that we didn't know that were there, that they saw in their characters. The end. Thank you very much.
That's awesome. I was really lucky because I think it was before Thanksgiving, I know. I came back from, I'd finished Vikings. I'd gotten brutally murdered on that show, and then, which happens to me a lot, maybe because people want me out of the way. But I came back and I met Bruno Heller at Warner Brothers, and I was like, dude, man, this is the dude that wrote Rome.
Yeah.
And I was a huge fan of Rome, and he gave me a lot of inside baseball on Rome, which was great. And And he said it was like really short. He goes, "We're doing this thing. It's kind of a noir take on Gotham, and we want you to be Harvey Bullock." And I said, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. And we didn't start shooting till March, was it?
Yeah.
So I had some months, but and then I was waiting to see who they cast after that, and as Gordon especially, you know, and we miss Ben because he was kind of the heart and soul and he was the workhorse of Gotham. But that's how it happened. I was super fortunate, and then to meet these two awesome. And we're all super tight. I know people say that, but
Yeah.
I know they can attest to it. There wasn't one bad word or moment in 5 years between anybody on that show. And I've generally speaking see a lot of love and good things, but we were a bizarrely close, really cool group of people. And I know, like, you know, I wish we were all together right now, but
Last episode must have been tough.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was, I think we were maybe ready to take 6 months off and come back.
Yeah,
We needed a little bit of it was tough for the crew to make Gotham because we were in the winter in New York. And those and the writers in California seem to love to go exterior, bridge, nights, 30 below zero. I'm like, dude, get a table, come out to New York and write on the roof of my building at 2 in the morning, you know. But anyway, but yes, yeah, that's how I got it.
I mean, yeah, I mean, Sean basically described what you know, my journey getting to Gotham as well. I had dummy sides. It was my scene was a boy who was in I think what was supposed to be some version of a therapist's office, and he was talking about the loss of his brother, and the therapist says, like, do you remember any good memories with your brother? And I forget what my character's name was. It wasn't Bruce. Starts talking about this memory where him and his brother were out camping or something like that, and they climbed a tree, and an eagle landed on the tree, and he was talking about the majesty of the eagle. And it was a really, really cool scene written by Bruno. And I auditioned a lot of times. I think I auditioned like twice, and then I tested, which usually when you screen test, that's the last step, but I tested like 4 more times after that.
Oh my God.
So yeah, it was a long and stressful process, but obviously very worth it.
Awesome.
I'm very happy to be here.
They usually bring you back enough times to get to the one time that you F it up.
Yeah, totally.
You know?
Yeah.
All right, so I just have a couple of questions, and then I'm going to open it out to you guys. So, Sean, I understand in finding out about doing a little research on you, I know that you have very much a family of actors, especially in theater. So, with that being said, what was it about, specifically about Gotham, and making that transition of doing things that are that are classical versus, you know, something that?
I mean, it is in a way it is classical, isn't it?
In a way,
really?
yeah.
It's 80 years old.
Yeah.
Literally. But it was operatic in its scale. I think our show. I think that the designers and Danny Cannon's vision, it was operatic. I think it was beautifully shot and realised. It was like sort of Hansel and Gretel meets Taxi Driver kind of vibe, which I thought was super cool. I mean, and what isn't there? You know, you got to understand, coming from like London, it's a huge box needs to be ticked. Is to basically walk down through the Bowery or Chinatown doing a movie because you feel like you're in a Scorsese film, quite frankly. And it was a massive, massive part of a dream come true, dream realised. Really, is actually playing one of the only Brits in the superhero world, Constantine and Alfred, I think, and 2, working with an incredible bunch of people. On a subject that I really cared about, and I was so proud to be attached and to it and be part of it because it did feel like a theatre company. It's what Donal was saying earlier on. We were so close and so tight. There's so much trust with each other that it felt like a theatre company. That it normally comes with working in the theatre. In fact, Ben insisted on our lunch breaks to do table reads of the next episode, which we used to, even if we weren't actually filming,
Yeah.
we'd come in and read it, so we'd see our compadres, see what was going on in the world of Gotham.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And then lastly, Donal, I would be remiss to bring up another comic book film outside of Batman, and that's Blade. A lot of people sleep on Blade. A lot of people sleep on Blade. You always say X-Men, brought in, the comic era, but I say Blade did, 98. But with that being said also, I know you were talking about relationships and having those relationships with people that you work with. I understand that you're close with Stephen Dorff too.
Yeah, I haven't, thank you for bringing, Blade broke all kinds of barriers, and it didn't invent Nosferatu or the vampire, but damn, it made it cool again, right? Yeah. Wesley is unbelievable. I don't know if you've seen Dolomite.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah,
Wesley Snipes.
So
Eddie
fun.
Murphy's a crazy genius. Wesley Snipes almost outdoes him.
Yeah, he does,
Wesley Snipes is an amazing actor, great guy. We had an amazing. Blade was, I don't know. There's sometimes, for me, maybe it's stressful to do what we do because the days are. You want to be prepared. You put a lot of heat on yourself. But I remember starting Blade. Stephen Norrington, the director, was like, "Hey, mate, it's fun to be a fucking vampire. Have fun." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna have fun." And so thanks for bringing.
Hopefully we have a reunion in this new incarnation. You, Wesley, and Stephen in some capacity.
Someone
Hopefully,
asked me,
hopefully.
I would love.
someone.
I know Steven's in New Mexico doing a job with a friend of mine named Courtney. So I haven't seen Steven in a couple of years, and Arlie Joubert, who was in it. We just talked the other day. But yeah, what a joy! And you have to imagine there was a guy named. So when Marvel did Blade, they were kind of on the brink of bankruptcy, or they had sold off properties, and this was a last-ditch thing, and they didn't know if it was going to work, and they were like, "Do you think it's going to work?" And it worked, and yeah,
All right.
I was lucky to be in those both, and Ghost Rider too. There was another
So guys, we have
lesser
the mic
groovy
here.
Marvel movie.
I'll open
maybe.
up to you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Hi, my name's Rob. Is there a particular moment in the series that stands out to you the most, or a moment that you're gonna just remember for the rest of your life, like for each of you?
Well, there's so many really over the
Yeah.
5 years, and just the joy of working and watching this young, talented man next to me, watching him grow up in front of my eyes, quite literally, was an extraordinary. That was my most heartfelt achievement, I think. Really, was watching him working with David, and doing we did some great scenes where he becometh the man kind of thing, when he realizes "Thou shalt not kill," which is a Batman mantra, really, and scenes like that were really stand out for me personally.
There were a zillion, but like Sean said, but I do think the scene where we're in the future, we fast forwarded 10 years, and Alfred comes walking across the roof of that parking garage.
Yeah.
And and Ben puts the light on, and it's the three of us on this roof, and it's the appearance of Batman, and it's David's face, but another some 6'5" manimal. But we're like, holy smokes,
Yeah,
dude!
no, we're
This
doing
is
it.
some Batman stuff. Like, this is big deal. Batman's the most ubiquitous, recognizable, like worldwide. There's something so spectacular about Batman, and just to have a thumbprint in the Batman universe is amazing.
I think for me, it's the beginning. Like, there's not one specific moment from the pilot, but like the scene when I'm on the roof and the very first scene I did with Sean tells me to get down, and walking through the alley, walking away from the crime scene, and like I don't know, I think the beginning is always going to stick with me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you.
so
Thanks,
much,
man.
guys.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm not worthy.
Get up, man.
All right, but as I said, sorry. that Gotham started off as very much noir. We follow Bullock and Bullock and Gordon, and we follow them on their day-to-day case, and then it slowly evolved more into Batman. And we follow a little bit more of Bruce. But I really want to ask is, do you think it should have stayed very much a strictly noir, by-the-books cop show? Or do you think it really needed to evolve more as it did?
You know, when it started, I thought, first of all, there was talks at the beginning that it was going to be in L.A., even though it would still have the same dark look, etc. But my favorite thing is L.A. noir, like James Ellroy and Raymond Chandler, and there's something just so groovy about detective stuff in L.A. Blade Runner too, and then so when we started it, but the shows migrate in the direction that they should go, right? Like people, they're wanting to follow that story more or whatever it is. It's kind of like supply and demand. Like you want to go to where people want to see it. And I think it was too big and beautiful of a world to get stuck doing case by case in the GCPD. I love the comics about Gotham Central, but like, we had a big, amazing, incredibly broad world. Maybe too big to try and tell on an hour every week, but yeah, I loved sitting back and watching what these guys were doing when they weren't. At first, it was a lot of me and Ben, and then
Procedural, wasn't it?
it was procedural, and then it was good, man. It just branched out to the family, you know.
Yeah, it's interesting actually because one of our showrunners, lovely John Stevens, he said, I never really experienced doing a show this scale. I mean, it's huge, man, you know, and he likened it to saying, when you write a pilot, it's like throwing a bowl of spaghetti at the wall and see what strands stick. He said, our problem was they all fucking stop. So, excuse my French, but it's literally, they had this sort of welter of, from Corey Michael Smith, who was this, and the bullied Robin Lord Taylor, and they were like, "Well, this is all good." So
Yeah.
So it was a seeking out search. It was a bit of a muddle, if I'm really brutally honest, actually, the first season, because we got extended after 16. The writers were freaking out because they said you've got to do 22 now.
Yeah.
So the first season was a little bit like that, and then the second season we really found our footing, and I think you can see that we all. You know, it was our world then, and that's when we started to really enjoy it. You know.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, man.
You guys got it.
Hi, my name's Keith.
Hi, Keith.
I've got a question for David, if that's all right.
Yeah.
It's not all right.
All right with us.
How does it feel to be Batman at the age of 18?
Phenomenal. Thank you, Keith.
I'm Mari. I have a question for David. I know that when you started, doing your Gotham acting thing, I'm sorry, I'm nervous.
No, don't be nervous.
I know when you started, you were like really young. I know now I think you're 18.
Yeah.
How was it growing up in the spotlight? Did people treat you differently? Were you stressed out? Stuff like that.
Like at work or in my
It's just
normal life?
Yeah, just normal life. Like,
I mean, I was very fortunate that I went to a very small high school, and all of my closest friends, at least from my high school, I had known since fourth grade, and so they all knew me for David and not the kid that was on that TV show, which I did get a lot of, but I was never really close to those people. And then eventually it did kind of add this added barrier to any new relationship. But I think I don't know. I was always able to get over it fairly quickly. Just by I don't know, just getting. I mean, I think people understand, like, they get to know you and not like the object that you represent as pretty quickly if that's what you want. But yeah, I mean, my mom, she's here, she's right over there. She was always. Hi, Mom. she always made it very clear to me and to everyone around me that, and she always kind of instilled this priority in me, which I'm forever grateful for. That it was always school first, and acting was a close second, but it was always a second, and I'm really grateful for that, because you see a lot of people in this industry who kind of throw everything they have at it, which is awesome. You have to throw everything you have at it, or else you're never going to make it anywhere. But they'll give up everything for the littlest opportunity. And if I had to describe this industry in one word, it's unpredictability. You never know where you're going to be tomorrow, and it's a very, very dangerous game to do that, especially as a young person, because you're not only throwing your own future and your own existence, into this void when you never know where you're going to end up on the other side, but it's your family's too. And so I was always very grounded. I was always very grounded in school and my friends back at home, with my. So whenever I had a break from work, if Gotham ever got canceled overnight, I would have a home. I would have a family. I would have a school. I would have a quote unquote normal life to go back to. Is what I'm saying. I always had kind of a fallback plan, and I think it definitely, probably that single-handedly determined who I am and, what my values are. I'm very, very thankful to my mom for that.
Hello. Hi. My name is Zach. My question for you guys is, which character other than your own were you really excited to see get fleshed out over the season or the series itself? Which one, were you really excited every time you saw them get more developed on and on?
Ooh.
Sean and I always had a lot of fun
Yeah.
doing stuff together.
I wish there's more of it, really.
Yeah.
We
It was
sort of
hard.
found-
It was hard because there's so many of us.
Yeah. You mean it sort of changed exponentially, changed?
Edward?
Edward
They
Nigma.
did it because they did such a good slow burn on
Yeah,
him.
they did,
In the
yeah.
first season, we knew what he was going to become.
Yeah.
But to watch Corey would only pop in for a little bit on every other episode or
Yeah.
something, and just do a couple things and be snapped at. But you knew how great he is as an actor and just how dynamic that transformation would become. Right? That was spectacular.
Yeah.
For me, something I was always excited about was not necessarily the evolution of individual characters, but the evolution of certain relationships on the show. Whenever two people from different worlds, because a lot of times on Gotham, because we had so many characters, the characters kind of felt like islands.
Yeah.
It was always me and Sean off of Wayne Manor, kind of doing our own thing, and then Bullock and Jim, the GCPD doing their own thing, and then whenever those islands were kind of transcended and we got to make contact with the outside world, it was always it was always really nice and cool to see where it went.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
This one is for Mr. Logue. May I call you Donal?
Yeah, sure.
So
Absolutely.
your character tends to be
What's
very...
your name?
My name is Jake.
Nice to meet you.
Your character tends to be a very sarcastic, punch first, ask questions later, then throw them out the window. Would you prefer to be that character in your real life, or would you prefer to be who you are today?
That's a great question. There was someone said something really interesting to me about, I won't get into the real nitty gritty of it, but about you as a human being walking through the world. And you get to this point in your life where you want to make you want to change your life for the better or whatever. And this guy said to me, he goes, this New York dude, he's so brilliant in this super New Yorky way. He goes, look, man, if you're the kind of guy who's walked through life, I don't know if your parents kicked your ass or what, if you're the kind of guy that walks through life and you're like, and you never take a baseball bat out of the trunk of your car, maybe it's a good time every once in a while to take a baseball bat out. And he goes, conversely, if you're the kind of guy who is going after the world, maybe it's time to put the baseball bat away a little bit. And I thought that's a kind of brilliant, because Harvey sometimes would say meaner things or just be more honest and upfront and abrasive than I probably would ever be. But I also, when we started the show, Harvey in the comics is so abrasive that I honestly felt like if he's, not to make him a nicer guy so people think I'm nice, if he's that abrasive and rude and crude, then people won't hang for the ride that long. You know, like you have to find that heart in there. And so, but thank you. That was an awesome question, Jake.
Thank
Killer.
you.
Yeah.
Hello. So first I want to thank you all for coming to Rhode Island. I have to say the cast of Gotham has always been good to Rhode Island Comic Con. God bless you guys. Thank you. So Gotham has been was my favorite comic adaptation in recent years, so I want to just throw at you a few rapid fire. First, Sean, have you been tapped to cameo or kind of do a retcon with Pennyworth? Because it's a Bruno Heller show, so...
No, I haven't. I saw Bruno Heller came bouncing down the stairs and gleefully announced that there was a spin-off show called Pennyworth. And I said, when do we start? And he went, you're too old.
Yeah.
So that's my involvement. No, but I've seen a little bit of Jack. He does a great job. Of course, it's got Bruno and Danny stamped all over. I mean, I was hoping I'd be like the beginning of Fraggle Rock or something. I go, I remember the time, by a fireplace or something like that. But no, they wouldn't have it. They said it's a different universe. But it actually is, I'm kind of bizarrely very proud in a way because I think we piqued people's interest enough to warrant someone being considered as a vital part of the Batman canon. So, by making him physical and making him brusque and making him ex-military and really going for it and having 100 episodes in which to tell that story, for people to be interested enough to have his own show, I think that's, I'm somewhat to do with that. So I was very proud in any capacity.
Oh, good. I think you should actually be in the series final of that, my opinion. But for all of you, I have a question. Have any of you been tapped to do the CW DC Universe Crisis stuff?
No.
Anything? No one? No?
I don't think we would. It's weird, but it's so weird. I know it's, if you're on the CW, going back and forth between the worlds it's happening, it's expected, it's cool, but we were like our own island, right? And I think none of us would go, I'm going to go do a show where there's another Jim Gordon or Alfred or Bruce Wayne or anything. So that would just be so, we haven't been tapped, first of all. No. But I also think that shows actually want to protect, when you do a show, kind of like Pennyworth maybe, there's a suspension of disbelief. And I remember on Sons of Anarchy, Kurt Sutter never wanted to have, Michael Chiklis was such a looming presence in the Shield. He was like, I'm not going to start my show out with you because people are they have that character in their mind. You want to create a new world that's kind of, maybe for fans it's fun, but I can understand from a showrunner's perspective of where they want.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, they could use you, my opinion.
Oh, thank you.
Anyway.
Thanks.
And by the way, Don, I loved you on Stumptown. Keep it up.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
My question's for David. Did they have you try on the bat suit? This is important.
I could tell you, but I'd have to kill you.
Go ahead.
Oh, I wouldn't kill you. I'd just tie you up with some batarangs or something.
Sounds fun.
Hi, I'm Paige. My question is for all of you. I was wondering if there's a favorite season you have or a favorite version of your character you did in the season, like Billionaire Brat or any of those.
That's a good question.
I liked, personally, shall I take this quickly? I like the second season for me because Fox had given up with me by that stage because I sort of would go off piste quite a lot, wouldn't I? Just make stuff up and see how far I could get, how much I could get away with.
Undercrackers.
Undercrackers, tuck you on a kipper, you plank, and all this kind of stuff. So they actually constructed a scene, actually weirdly enough, around the audition speech when I meet Chris Chalk. So it was a time when you really see someone from London, when you never know if they're joking. or if they're not. And I like that about Alfred, that he's an outsider. For some reason, Bullock and him got on incredibly well, but we got a chance to sort of really explore the vernacular of Alfred. For me, anyway, that was one of my favourite seasons, was the second one. Yeah.
I loved it when Harvey was a bartender and Alfred would come in the bar. I thought this could be the whole new world. I'm down with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of my favorites was Bruce's party stage.
Mine too.
I know it wasn't some of the fans' favorite, but
It was
it was
mine.
fun to do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Jason. First off, Donal, huge fan. Love your version of Alfred. It's my favorite version. My question is for all three of you, though. Out of all of the characters throughout the entire canon of Batman that have been brought forth to Gotham, and believe me, there's been a lot, is there any one of them that you looked at that version and go, no, I like the comic book version better? Because you guys made just such slight tweaks to every character to make them your own universe. Was there any that you're like, I don't like that tweak, I want the original?
Well, I don't think any of us would ever say a nary word about anybody who came and threw down and offered their talents to what we did.
I'm not saying about the actor being bad, I'm just saying the version of it.
Well, we had too many stories, right? Yeah. I wish, having read the books, I wish that Montoya and Allen could have been around a lot more. You know, I thought the MCU was like a really kind of important part of that GCPD universe. And so we had fun with them in the pilot and episodes in season 1. But yeah, I really liked, and they were fascinating characters in the comics. So what do you think?
I mean, we sort of half-heartedly tapped into things that, could have been sort of like Killer Croc, When the Freaks Escape kind of thing. And I thought that was, if I'm really honest, I can say it because I won't get fired.
Which one was that?
I think it was When the Freaks Escape from all the monsters from the...
Oh, yeah.
And I thought we tapped on it, and then we didn't follow through. And I thought that was a kind of... I
thought the same thing with
that was weak of us. We didn't commit. You either go
Go big or
large
go
or go
home.
home. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought that that was a wasted opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Hi.
My name's Brian. Thank you so much for being here. David, wubba lubba dub dub.
Back to you, sir.
My question for the three of you. Season 3, the Tetch virus gets released, and whoever gets infected with the Tetch virus, a deep part of their personality gets amplified. And my question is, if you three were all infected with that virus, what personality traits would be brought out in each other? Like David, what would be brought out in Donal and so on?
God. I did not see that part coming.
Oh my God.
And go.
Either being Lothario or extreme violence, one of the two.
Sure. I think Sean would just be unbelievably sarcastic, and I would just have no idea whether or not he's being serious at any point.
That's such a good question.
Yeah,
I mean, in fairness to the DC universe, the Tetch virus and the Scarecrow, the harvesting, the adrenal, at the moment of you're terrified of water, I'm going to drown you. And when your system is running red line and your fight or flight goes to freeze because it's so intense, I'm stealing that from you. That was when DC, there's a kind of art, obviously, right? That was the most brilliant part of the DC universe. And I would say Marvel too, because it's about human, it has to be human emotion at some point. So I don't know. I'm a inappropriate motor mouth, so it's probably I already live in that universe. But thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. First off, sorry, my name is Matt. First off, Donal Logue, you're one of my absolute favorite actors. Whenever I see you in something, I'm like, oh my God, it's Donal Logue.
Thank you.
And so not for the last time, I just want to pour one out for Terriers.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Me too.
Gone too soon. But my question is actually for Sean. Over the summer, I think it was the 4th year of your father's show, Doctor Who.
Of Doctor Who.
Yeah. Was released on Blu-ray, and I think you were on the special features, interviewed about what that was like having your dad on a box of sugar smats and all that sort of thing.
Oh, is that actually on? Is it on the Green Death DVD thing?
Yeah, that was it.
Right.
I was actually wondering that sort of warm paternal presence of your dad as the doctor. Did that influence you in any way as Alfred? Were you kind of performing with that in mind a little bit, like, oh yeah, that's how Dad would have played it?
I suppose you have. It's a very good question, actually. I suppose you have general traits or tics and things like that. I do. The similarity, though, of course, is that my nose is catching up with his. It's growing by the year. But he was about the same age as I was when I got Alfred. So he was about 53, or 52, I think he was when he got Doctor Who. And of course, the similarities being that they're both dandies, and they're really good in a fight. So there you go. The fact that we were both sort of physical, that's sort of similar, sort of tap to it, the physical doctor and the physical butler. So, that's as far as it goes, I think.
It's a pity Alfred never got to do Venusian Aikido.
Oh, they did what?
Venusian Aikido.
Yeah. Oh, the Venusian Aikido. Yeah.
And,
It's hilarious, isn't it? Thank you.
and guys, I'm so sorry. It looks like we are out of time, but can we give a round of applause to all of our guests?
That went too quick. Thank you.